Welcome back to RPD channel. Myself RP Dubey. Namaskar to all viewers. Friends, today in this video, I would like to share with you about the latest update on Netanyahu's visit to the US and indirect talks being held for ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. Friends, Israeli President Netanyahu is on formal visit to the USA after the recent 12 days conflict between Israel and Iran that ended with a ceasefire on 24th June. As per the reports, the purpose of his visit to the US was handing over Trump a letter for nominating him for the upcoming Nobel Peace Prize distribution event. Both the leaders would also sit down to discuss efforts to push forward with a 60 days ceasefire proposed to pause a 21 months old conflict in Gaza. Friends, Mr. Trump sees himself as a strong contender for Nobel Peace Prize, owning the credit of brokering ceasefire between India and Pakistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, and Israel and Iran. He further said that he is also sincerely doing efforts for ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine also. He has reiterated that by brokering ceasefire between these countries, a major devastating war between them, which might have escalated to even nuclear war, were averted. Friends, both the leaders, Mr. Netanyahu and Trump, also took an opportunity for a victory lap to hail their recent joint strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities as an unmitigated success, or you can say unprecedented success. They both expressed optimism that their success in Iran would mark a new era in the Middle East, claiming that things were going to be really settled down in this region. Friends, Mr. Trump has publicly disclosed that Iran had approached the US for negotiations on its nuclear program in April, and talks were also going on. But the talks were scuttled after Israel began its operations against Iran from June 13. He also said that the talks had been scheduled and would restart soon. But Tehran has reportedly denied for any such schedule as yet. Friends, Iran now seems to align with the US's assertion in line with the Iranian president's published interview that the US airstrikes so badly damaged his country's nuclear facilities that Iranian authorities still have not been able to access them to survey the destruction. Apart from this, Iranian president also added that Iran would be willing to resume cooperation with the nuclear watchdog of IAEA, but cannot yet commit to allowing its inspectors unfettered access to monitor the sites. Friends, then what should be guessed from this Iranian president's interview? It is totally U-turn from his earlier interview that there was no damage to the nuclear sites after bombing by the USA. Hence, it appears that backdoor channel diplomacy between the two is underway to diffuse the tension and restore the relations on track. Friends, if it is so, it will be good news for the Middle East region. Friends, Trump has made clear that he would like to see the Gaza conflict end soon. Mr. Netanyahu's visit to the USA may also be attributed to the need of new urgency to a US ceasefire proposal being discussed by Israel and Hamas. Israel's plan to relocate the Palestinians and taking over the Gaza Strip to turn into the Riviera of the Middle East. Gazans, the Gaza's people had criticized the proposal and vowed never to leave their homes in the coastal enclave. Human rights groups condemned the plan as ethnic cleansing. Friends, Israeli officials is holding indirect negotiations with the Hamas at Qatar's capital Doha, aimed at securing a US brokered Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. The gap is continued between both the sides, as Palestinian sources said that Israel's refusal to allow the free and safe entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza remains the main obstacle to progress in the indirect talks. Israel insists it seeks to prevent militants from diverting the supplies. Friends, the US backed proposal envisages a phased release of hostages, Israeli troops withdrawals from parts of Gaza, and discussions on ending the war entirely. Friends, Hamas has long demanded a final end to the war before it would free the remaining hostages. But Israel has insisted it would not agree to halt fighting until all hostages are released and Hamas dismantled. Friends, some of Netanyahu's hardline coalition partners in government oppose halting military operations, but with Israeli having become increasingly weary of the Gaza war, they have become fed up from the war going on for the last 21 months. His government is expected to back a ceasefire if he can secure acceptable terms. Friends, after the 12 days war between Israel and Iran and its proxies and Israel have relented and are exploring the ways for permanent halting the fighting. Friends, let's see how all the parties involved succeed in restoring peace to their respective countries through the US and Qatar mediations. Friends, if you have liked this video, please like, share it, and also subscribe to the channel. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.